All right, I think that's working this time. A very intermittent interface that you have here. YouTube Live. I think it's day 6. I'll get it right eventually. Oh no, hang on. Let's see. At my spreadsheet, and it's got my stuff. Yeah, it is day 6. 91 kilos, 135 over 82 blood pressure, which is higher again. Urine pH 5.9, urine MSEC 7.98. I had 1,600 kilojoules today of just protein. So the protein formula's macronutrient split is 80-10-10. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats at a cost of a whopping $1.80 Australian dollars. I did about 30 minutes of cardio, walking the dogs, and about an hour and a half of weights. I cracked. I just needed to, I feel like stuff's getting a little bit out of line. We don't have any lockdowns where I live in tropical North Queensland. And I feel pretty good. I just wanted to get out of the house for one, and I also just wanted to do some stuff to get my knees sorted out. So I wanted to use a leg press. I don't like squatting anymore. I've got a belt squat here, but I don't have the right equipment to use it. So a leg press is really good to keep your knee alignment, all the tendons strong around it. So I do, obviously, when I'm training mates on Twitch, I'm always doing unweighted squats, which is fine. But to get the tension that I require for those has to be a bigger weight than me. I'm more competent and proficient at doing those sort of compound movements over X amount of years of doing training that I need to load them up with some more intensity. You'll find if you're doing goblet squats with kettlebells or belt squats, you will, well, not so much belt squats, they're great, but I just find it hard to get the amount of weights that I need for belt squats. Goblet squats, I'll have the 2 biggest kettlebells that I have at the moment. I used to have 228s, but now I've only got 220s. So when you're holding them in this sort of clean position, they pull you forward, which loads up your lower back. And all I'm trying to do is activate my knees, and I'm not trying to keep the core tension of the squat. So I can get people that'll be like, yeah, just do a squat, or yeah, just use goblet squats. Like, yeah, just mind your own business. No. Yeah, I've got damaged vertebrae, bulging discs from being a tall man, and a million other problems that I'm trying to avoid. So I really try and isolate certain things if I have to. But I feel fine. I like dieting. I like it. It keeps me, especially this system where I'm documenting everything in a spreadsheet. Nothing works better to keep you honest. That and this, because I have, some trusted friends that I know that check in this from time to time. So it keeps me honest, and I like that as well. It's as the Bitcoin people say, don't trust, verify. I think we live in a time where where anybody, I like that philosophical statement, how can you trust others if you can't trust yourself? It's a brutal, harsh sort of a view, I suppose, but I think that there is a lot of truth in it, because I think people can be deceptive or untrustworthy for a whole range of things. Doesn't mean you can just write them off entirely, but I was just talking about this with one of my friends, actually, the good barrister, and was suggesting that you can still find peace within that. As strange as it sounds absolute and brutal, but it's not really like that. It's just an element of caution, I think, is important to take in your life. But as another friend pointed out, that hypervigilance is extremely taxing, sort of the one eye open sleeping thing, but that I don't do. I sleep like a baby these days. But, I think, I can see the pros and cons of both of it, to both highly intelligent friends, so the people whose advice I listen to. So it's an interesting thing to think about. But nonetheless, like I said, I find this keeps me trustworthy. I find if I wasn't doing it, I would be for sure Why go out and get a bottle of wine? Why not? You know, who cares? But with this, you're like, oh, heavens forbid I get a low pH in my urine. It's like, really? That's how my brain works. It's kind of funny, you know? So I spreadsheet it, I weigh myself, I get blood tests, and again, I'll talk about my blood tests soon. I never talk about my blood tests. I get them out on all my rebuild videos. I get DEXA scans, rest and metabolic rate scans, blood tests. I never talk about any of them. I mean, it's personal, it's more for me, but it would be interesting to show people what values to look at and what's important. And for the love of God, to go and check your own blood results at a private clinic or a public clinic, if you've got a GP who will give you your blood test, just to look at your red blood count, look at your values that, you know, associate with your liver, your kidneys. Check yourself out, you know. It's just like basic vitals, SpO2, blood pressure, you know, stomach measurement, all that stuff is a good guide. But mate, nothing beats a blood test, because it's like dyno tuning a car, where you tap into everything. You're just really seeing what's operating and what isn't, what you can improve based on ranges of things that have been measured for a seriously long time. So blood tests are seriously the panacea for health. If you're really serious about your health, like I am, go get, you know, a full blood count done, FBC, and check it out at bare minimum. But if you want to get more, maybe get a hormone panel in there if you can get one, see how your thyroid is, and ALT and just, you know, I'll make a video about it, but it's important to check that stuff out. And also, it's great because to have a baseline, if something goes wrong and you get a blood test, you will identify it even before the doctor does, you know? So it's interesting to do that sort of stuff. I'll also be interested to see on my next blood test is if I'm just having protein every day, just unflavored pea protein isolate with water, no fruit, nothing like that. Magnesium, always magnesium, especially if you're not having any other vitamins and minerals. Magnesium's a must, not only for your brain, but for the tension that I'm putting my muscles through. They just start cramping up something fierce. So that's why magnesium is like the holy grail mineral. Vitamin C, vitamin D, can't go wrong. I think I can go a long time for a while. I know my LDL was slightly high, low density lipids, which is not the end of the world, because it doesn't really affect my CRP at this stage yet. And I think I could go for quite a long time before I'd need supplementation of fish oil, and that would be probably more for my joints and stuff like that, is where I'll start to notice it first, rather than like feeling a strain in my heart. So fish oil is obviously something, as the other rebuild videos are shown, that I normally talk about, but it's something that I can forego for a while, because I've got built up enough fat relatively for me that I can not only use that for gluconeogenesis for powering my brain, but also, you know, I think it should be fine, you know. I've done longer fasts with way less when I was boxing, with fine vitals, fine blood tests, so I'm not too worried. But there's nothing good, there's nothing better than drying out everything, especially if you've, you know, had 2 weeks off just drinking wine and sitting around watching TV. So, yeah, and I've got a bit of sun as well, so some free vitamin D, which is cool. I'm spreadsheeting the costs as well during my days to see how much it would cost, bare minimum, to eat healthy, and see people like, I know I've spent a lot of money on other things which are equally as decadent, like flying around a plane and burning, you know, petroleum or avgas rather, a leaded gas because they don't convert it to unleaded gas. The older carburetors, they leave it because it's harder to certify into the unleaded versions, which there is unleaded versions of avgas. That's pretty decadent, you know what I mean? That's why I haven't flown for a while, because, you know, it's like learning a guitar. It never ends. Flying a plane, you never stop. Endorsements, it just keeps on going, staying current. And you're flying over a school, burning, you know, avgas. It's pretty decadent. But it's also very decadent to go and spend a couple of $100s on food, I find. And I hear a lot of complaints always it's expensive to eat healthy, and that's why I started to think that I could tabulate it and just see, without my bloods diminishing and demineralizing my body, how cheap I could live on in the West, right? Especially in Australia, which is more expensive than the States. So that was the theory behind it. But yeah, it's all going well. I'm writing down a lot of documentation for Start Building Me. I think that will be cool. I think I can leave it at that, 11 minutes. I hope this is recording. I recorded this video, not this video, but yesterday's video about 6 times until it actually recorded on YouTube. So it's pretty buggy, their live feature, compared to Twitch. Don't block my video, please, YouTube, please. But it looks like it says recording, and I'm not having any problems with the data rate, so that's cool. Anyway, diet's something that a lot of people overlook and make an enormous impact in your life. Not only performance, longevity, everything. And just like me not wanting to roll around on my PVC pipe for my fascial release, people don't want to diet, but in the end, you're only cheating yourself, right? So you can do everything in moderation. You don't have to go at it like a bull at a gate like I do, but you can also always do stuff like me. I can eat like a pig if I want to, because most of the time I don't eat like a pig. So then when it comes down to it, like a friend who I'm hoping will watch this will remember in New Zealand, I just sit there at a buffet and just sweep everything onto a plate and just start eating it. Because I don't do that ever. I never do that. So you can enjoy it then when it comes down to that chance. You don't have to do it all the bloody time, you know. Anyway, 12 minutes, it's way too long already, and I think my lights are about to blow a gasket because I've got them working on a step-down transformer that's probably not for the correct wattage. So, take it easy, day 6. Shuffles notes, day 6.